Welcome to Austin, Texas, where for the 5th straight season, MotoAmerica will be challenged by this star-spangled track. We're here at Circuit of the Americas. Known as COTA, this 20-turn counterclockwise circuit uses the naturally rolling landscape to shape the course. This is round 2 of 2019. I'm Hannah Lopa. Welcome to Inside MotoAmerica as we take a closer look at this week's Championship of Texas.
The Lone Star State's capital of Austin is our home this week, where music and fine dining define this dynamic college town. But it's COTA that brings Inside MotoAmerica to Texas. We are 251 feet above the track on COTA's observation tower, one of the finest views in all of racing.
This week's races feature only our EBC Brakes Superbike class, but MotoAmerica is made up of 5 classes. Here's a look at our other 4 classes from last weekend's race at Road Atlanta.
Round number 1 of the Liqui Moly Junior Cup was dominated by the 14-year-old Rocco Landers, who captured the checker flag first in both races aboard his Landers Racing Kawasaki. The Twins Cup featured the same 3 riders on the podium, with Michael Barnes winning both races. Defending class champ Chris Parrish improved on his Saturday 3rd place result with a 2nd place finish on Sunday. Curtis Murray rounded out the podium in 3rd. In Supersport, Saturday's 2nd place finisher, Bobby Fong, came back strong on Sunday to capture the race win and the top spot in the class after round number 1. 2nd place finisher, PJ Jacobson, kept Fong honest throughout the majority of the 18-lap race to record his first MotoAmerica podium. While Richie Escalante finished in an emotional 3rd and dedicated the race to his grandfather after getting the sad news earlier in the day that he had passed away. The opening round of the Stock 1000 Championship went down to the final lap in the last few corners. Andrew Lee came out on top just ahead of Michael Gilbert, who had led the entire race.
This week, COTA is all about the Superbike class.
Superbike is the premier race class of MotoAmerica. It showcases the top road racers aboard top-of-the-line motorcycles capable of speeds approaching 200 miles per hour.
It is our riders who truly define MotoAmerica and the top class of Superbikes.
We're just a traveling circus that goes around the country, and it's been growing, and man, I'm just super happy to be a part of a project like this and a championship that's done so well in such a short amount of time.
MotoAmerica is everything. I wouldn't be here without MotoAmerica. Truly, they have absolutely just changed the sport for us.
It's an honor and a privilege to be out here racing motorcycles. You know, really, I mean, it's cool. I'm a lucky guy to be out here just racing motorcycles, and people get to come out and watch, and I'm a kid in a candy store. So.
We're doing what we love, and the fans are following it, so can't complain about racing MotoAmerica.
I'm just happy to be part of that family that started up. You know, I didn't just drop in this year. I've been there since it started, and that's just something about that's kind of cool to me. It's like a family. We struggle together, and we've seen the lows, so we just all want to go up, and it makes it fun.
I went back home for probably 2 years, and I was kind of thinking about was it as far as my motorcycle career went, and I came here halfway through 2016, and the series has just grown. Now we have the new TV package, and things are looking great.
Obviously the biggest series in the US, and I feel like it's growing, so it's really a pleasure.
It's a series that I've watched when I was a kid, so it's cool to be in the big class now.
Thanks to MotoAmerica, I start to build my family here. I know I'm Spanish from Barcelona, but always I felt a big part inside of me like an American, and now my son is American, so I'm American too.
I think it's really cool being a part of a series that has grown tremendously over the last few years, and I take pride in being a part of that.
Nestled perfectly overlooking Turn 1 here at COTA is Ducati Island, one of the largest fan events of the year. Meet the riders, test the latest Ducati Scrambler lineup, and celebrate with authentic Italian-style cuisine. Tony Elias won his first race of the 2019 MotoAmerica EBC Brakes Superbike Series, besting Matthew Scholes by 1.8 seconds at Road Atlanta. The win, combined with his second-place finish on Saturday, gave Elias the early lead in the EBC Brakes Superbike Championship with 45 points. Cameron Beaubier in second with 41 points, followed by Matthew Scholes and the two-time Supersport champion JD Beach in fourth. With 5 wins in 6 attempts here at COTA, it seems apparent that Texas should be second home to Spaniard Tony Elias, as he took pole position for the second consecutive season as a result of his 2:08.537 lap in Friday afternoon's Super Pole session. Elias improved his lap times methodically throughout the day. He had the third fastest time in Friday morning's first practice session, to ending the afternoon's second practice session in second, ultimately securing pole position in the 15-minute Super Pole session. Elias' teammate Josh Herron made a big jump in Super Pole to qualify second after 2 tough practice sessions earlier in the day. Elias bested Cameron Beaubier, the defending MotoAmerica Superbike champion. Beaubier was fastest after leading the timesheets in both of the practice sessions before Super Pole.
Tony Elias, Tony, first time we've seen you on pole in quite a while. Take us through those fast laps on that new Dunlop Q tire.
Well, I'm not just one lap rider. No, it's been always really difficult to have some pole. Always I try and I fight, but was always impossible. Some other guys are faster. But well, now the rules change a little bit. I'm happy because we are better with the new rules, and we can start to fight for some pole. So anyway, the team did an amazing job. We are working well for the race. So it's been a very short day, very busy day too, and we are ready. We'll see how the tires will work. It's not clear what the other riders will choose, so we just believe we did a great job, and then we will fight. Let's do it.
Congratulations, Tony. Good luck tomorrow.
Don't go anywhere. Inside MotoAmerica will be right back.
Welcome back to Austin. Before qualifying in the 4th spot here at COTA, JD Beach and I spent some quality time on the track discussing strategy.
All right, JD, so what's it like to finally be back here at Circuit of the Americas?
Being back here is awesome. This is actually the track that I got my first win at, or my first pro win at. So being back here is really cool, and I think this state's just awesome.
Now, how do you prepare for a track like this?
I didn't know we were supposed to prepare. No, I like to, like, before the race weekend, I watch the races and stuff, and then on Thursday before the race weekend starts, I like to go out and run the track and kind of like think of like what gears I'm gonna be in, like the line, I'm actually running the lines that like I'm gonna race. So that's kind of that's something that I can do each race weekend that like kind of stays the same.
All right, well, you ready to give it a shot?
I'm ready.
Let's go. You're going down.
In a few weeks, Inside MotoAmerica heads to the historic Virginia International Raceway for the MotoAmerica Championship of Virginia. All 5 classes are back on this 2.25-mile track. Check your local listing for airtimes on the NBC Sports Network.
With 7 wins in 8 attempts here at COTA, Tony Elias has emerged as the lone star of superbikes here in Texas.
All right, Tony, put it on the pole again this weekend, fastest in that last session. Your teammate was second fastest. What's it going to take to beat him during the race?
Well, I'm happy today being 1-2. This is what we need. So this is what we have to work for during the race and go in front and try to have the Yamahas behind us. And then who will win will be okay. Always will be, if it's 1-2, always will be perfect. So he's strong, so he will be there. But I hope to win.
Now, speaking of Josh Herrin, Tony just said he's going to beat you tomorrow. What do you think about that? What's it going to take to beat him out there?
Hey, as long as we're 1-2, it doesn't matter. That's all that matters, right?
Do you really think that?
Yeah.
Or would you rather win?
I mean, I'd rather win, but this time we're going to work together and pull away.
All right, we'll take your word for it. Good luck out there, guys.
Bikes on the grid, Jason Pridmore, as we get ready to start race number 1 here at Circuit of the Americas, and we do not see the 31 bike. It looks like Garrett Gerloff, who is supposed to be 4th on the grid behind Tony Elias, is not on that grid. We'll try to uncover that, but right now, upper left-hand part of your screen, you're going to see those red lights go on, and when they go off, clutches are out. It's a long drag up the hill to turn number 1. Tony Elias looks like he has a good launch, Jason.
Great launch. He's moved over. Looks like, again, JD Beach with a tremendous start on that attack Yamaha. He's come down the front into second. Josh Herrin runs just a little bit wide, and he's going to be 5th going down the hill. Look at the amount of spreading out there is. So you got Elias in 1st. Then you got JD Beach. Then it looks like Cameron Beaubier there slotted into 3rd. What a shame for Garrett Gerloff. I don't know what's going on there, Greg.
Hopefully we'll have Hannah on the case, but at the moment, it's number 24, Tony Elias, factory Yoshimura Suzuki, setting the pace as he's done so many times, really since he got to the U.S., Jason.
Yeah, this is what people have to be a little bit worried about, especially Cameron right now. And JD's doing a really good job, and you can see a small, tiny little gap going away. The thing is, the Yoshimura Suzuki is so fast that when they come down through this section, this is the turn 10, top of the hill, and when they get down to the bottom here, there you go, Cameron goes up underneath JD Beach, Josh Herrin's going up underneath Matthew Skulls, but Cameron runs wide.
Loses just 1 position, does Cameron. I mean, he got it for a moment, now back, but Herrin is on his tailpipe. Can Herrin control that wheelie and just blow by the Yamaha? So I'm looking at number 1 and number 2 back there in 3rd and 4th. Nope, Beaubier holds on to it.
And there's right there's Garrett Gerloff. So he came out of the pit. So that's good to see. The field hasn't exactly got completely away from him yet. And I think that's pretty encouraging first lap for those Yamahas down the back straightaway behind Tony. So JD Beach was able to kind of draft up too close to him before they got into the braking zone. And now this group has stayed really close together this first lap.
And Hannah has something on Jake Gagne, who he had a big crash right before we got to this session, didn't he, Hannah?
Yeah, Jake's entire crew has cleared out of pit lane completely, so it looks like he's going to be out for this race. Touching upon what you guys were mentioning about Garrett actually couldn't get his bike started, and they pulled off to the side of the track. He ultimately was obviously able to get it started, but he had to start from the back of the grid, so that is why you did not see him in his original starting grid position.
All right, thank you so much, Hannah. We saw a lot of action on the racetrack.
Did you see that move? Herrin just went past JD Beach and Cameron Beaubier. And this is, we heard earlier one of Cameron's things about him saying sometimes he could be more aggressive, and you can see Herrin was 5th when they went down this hill the last time. Now he's got himself up behind his teammate. We're going to see if what really held true that those two were speaking of earlier about maybe working together a little bit. Last week we kind of questioned, why didn't those Yosh guys work together just a little bit with Cameron Beaubier coming from the 4th row? Now the 2 Yosh bikes are 1st and 2nd, and we'll see if they can do that. As you can see, Herrin, his foot comes off the foot peg. That goes to show how much pressure these guys are putting on their feet and their legs as they go through those things to make those. Oh! Matthew Skulls almost gets in the back of JD Beach there. He's going to get a turn and get back on. That was a really kind of odd mistake there. In the pre-show, we heard Tony say that Cameron, at the right time, always finds a way to be aggressive. Like, I think Cameron is a thinker, and he watches what goes on. But he's not going to be afraid to make a pass. And it's probably going to be a place that we haven't really documented just yet. You can see here, all going down through the S's. This is all pretty one line. Can't really do much here.
But it is, with both of these riders will talk to you, the strength of the Yamaha.
Yes.
It has a way to just flick through these corners a little bit better. Although it's a favorite of Tony Elias. We heard him on a podcast earlier this week talk about how he likes certain sections of this track, and the section that we just went through is part of Tony's favorite.
And now they got a back marker just in front of him, but Tony's just pulled away ever so slightly here. And they're going to go past somebody. And Garrett's trying so hard to get on the back of him. You see Garrett runs a lot of corner speed, but see how it ruined his exit just a little? And those guys just kind of gap him. So what it does now is Cameron's trying so hard to just get into that draft, and it pulls them away from Garrett as they go down this back straightaway. And the hard part is that if you're Garrett Gerloff, you've got to try to figure out a way to outbrake these guys going into here just to try to make up that deficit. It's very hard to do that lap after lap.
And when it comes to throwing a shot at Tony Elias, how do you outbrake the braking master?
It's really hard, and it literally is one of those things where when you look at the speeds, like we had it just a little bit ago here, it doesn't always tell the story, because those can be kind of draft induced also. They can actually help you. But he's just so good about being patient, getting the bike slowed down and stopped, is Tony. And that's the thing that makes it hard. Cameron looks like he's got some speed all the way through here, doesn't he?
Certainly does. We're heading to the final lap, folks.
Look at
if you've been chilling on your couch or your recliner's laid back, you better prop this thing upright, because this thing's getting ready to get really interesting as we're going to head to the white lap.
I think Cameron, just by the view that we just had there as we go into the white flag lap, it's going to be one of the final two corners, Greg. I'm calling second to last corners where he's going to take a shot.
The last lap of this race, Tony Elias leads the way in the 24 from Cameron Beaubier on the number 1 as they peel it into turn number 1. Beaubier's got a decent brake marker and a run at him. Garrett Gerloff in third spot, pulling away from JD Beach. Jason, now is the time. If Beaubier has done all the work and studied what Tony Elias is doing, his plan is set in motion right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's just trying to get himself closer. I think that the shot he's going to take is going to be very late in the lap. It's going to be a lunge down the inside in, I believe it's turn 19, Greg. And we're looking on the left side of our screen, and we're seeing Garrett go down. He may have lost his transponder, or maybe there's a reason, but you can see him very solidly there, still in third. So for Garrett Gerloff fans that are out there watching and seeing that, he's still in the race, he's still there. Now, this is the one spot that I thought Cameron might be able to take a chance, but he's just not close enough now. So Tony's going to get it in there, and watch how he doesn't really lose anything. He's going to be able to fire it out.
I think for that one, Cam gave him a little bit more room and tried to get a run on him in the draft. Back straightaway action, Cam Beaubier, he's closing on him. Is he going to make the move now? Wow, he pulls out and he goes by, but we know how Tony is. Right to the apex he goes. Is there any room for two bikes? Tony Elias back with the lead.
Now he's got to be careful here, because Cameron was going to try to do something up underneath him. So it's great to see that Yamaha had the power. See how cagey Tony is? He's not going to open it up in the middle and then let Cameron cut back up underneath him. Now they're kind of back on their traditional lines. They've sorted things out for a couple of turns, but Cameron's got a lot of pace in this next right-hander, and I think that he's going to fire a shot in the left-hander that comes right after this one.
Cameron Beaubier, half a bike length behind Tony Elias. This is for the race win. A little wider goes the number 1 plate. Tony getting on the gas. They're going to slam on the brakes and go to the apex. There goes Beaubier. Can he get the drive out? A little wheelie. He's going to leave it open. And Tony Elias, they touch. Now it's the run to the checkered flag. And it looks like Beaubier gets pushed wide, and that'll do it. Wow. Tony Elias, Cameron Beaubier, and Garrett Gerloff with the fastest lap of the race on the last lap, 1/10 of a second behind his teammate.
If you look here, having Cameron Beaubier, that's going to give him a lot of confidence that he was able to get in the draft of that Yoshimura Suzuki, and he'll learn from that. It's so hard to open up the line going in there and know that Tony's behind you, because he's going to go straight to the apex. And here we go. This is all coming out of turns 17 and 18, and he made the big shot down the middle, but see, it's going to run him just a bit wide right now and not allow me to see the thing wheelie in a minute. And then as they come out of there,
yeah, and then, but that was part of what I was talking about, Jason, isn't it? Like, he tried to do a Tony Elias on a bike that's not set up to do a Tony Elias.
Yeah, I don't know if it could be some setup. You know I like exactly what you mean. Yeah, I do know exactly what you mean. But the other thing that you got to look at, if you go back and we could look at this, over and over, obviously it's great, but how much room did Cameron give Tony going into 18? Because what ends up happening is as this stuff happens more and more and more, the space between the two riders gets less and less. And if he's a tiny bit closer to Tony on tip in, that's going to change his angle as he comes out of that corner also.
Let's get right down to Hannah, who has our race winner.
I'm here with Tony Elias. Tony, what a hard-fought battle to the finish there with Cam. Take us through that last lap.
Well, it's been a strange weekend. Not many practice, working hard and a lot. But I think we did a great job. The only thing, any tire we chose was a difficult ride to the end. Probably Cameron had problems. Me too, everyone's. But we battled hard. I keep calm for the most part of the race, in third position, trying to understand the situation. But I was in a risk. P3 was not good for me. I started to overtake, trying to do my rhythm. But we were on the limit. The tires were sliding a lot. Cameron was there. I did a mistake in the last lap. Anyway, he did a great job. He tried so hard, me too. This year it's gonna be a difficult year. If we want to win, we'll have to sweat a lot, both me, him, and everyone. But that makes a great show, so I hope you enjoy it. And thanks to my Yoshimura Suzuki, they are working so hard, so good. My family, my girlfriend Christy, my family in Spain. So thank you so much.
Here's a look at the final results. Jason, Tony Elias, margin of victory .089. Garrett Gerloff in third spot. Josh Herron, JD Beach, and Jake Lewis, with Matthew Skultz, David Anthony, and Cam Peterson rounding out the top 9. A good result for Cam Peterson.
Favorite film? I was watching the Terra Firmas the other night. I think Cam Peterson was over. We were watching the Terra Firmas, like 1, 2, and 3.
I really like Baby Driver. It's a good movie. Love it. Just a lot of action, a lot of good stunt work.
One was Inception, about just like hijacking people's dreams and trying to get information. I thought that was kind of crazy. I don't know, I liked it. The other one was Interstellar, which is these guys, go out in space and they're trying to save humanity. I don't know. It was really cool how it was put together, and I really enjoyed it. So,
movies like Forrest Gump and those kind of ones you can really get into. Nothing exciting, just something you can sit there and watch and really feel involved in.
My favorite film is Pretty Woman.
I don't know.
I love that romantic story, and always will be my main movie. I don't know how many times I've seen in my life.
Ricky Bobby, or Talladega Nights, because Ricky Bobby, Shake and Bake. I think that's where I like that movie.
Top Gun, probably. I don't really know why.
The Goonies or Stand By Me. That's just, I don't really know why. I just watched it growing up, and just a cool movie about kids just having fun and getting in trouble.
Anchorman probably, just because it's, again, just the most outlandish humor ever, and that just really is just great to me. And Ron Burgundy is just the best character ever too.
Welcome back to the Circuit of the Americas in round 2 of our Inside MotoAmerica season. Let's look ahead to the remaining 8 rounds of 2019, and it starts back east. After a 2-week break, MotoAmerica moves to the famed Virginia International Raceway, where, like the state itself, much of racing history has been written since VIR opened in 1957.
MotoAmerica continues its historical journey to Road America in the lush parkland of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Opened for racing in 1955, this legendary track is the longest on tour at 4.08 miles. As the summer months get hotter, MotoAmerica heads 30 miles west of Salt Lake City to the east course of the Utah Motorsports Complex. Originally conceived by Utah Jazz founder Larry H. Miller, UMC opened in 2006. After a 4-week break, MotoAmerica returns to one of racing's most iconic venues, the picturesque Laguna Seca. Spanish for dry lagoon, the 2.23-mile track is defined by its signature turn, the downhill plunging corkscrew. From Northern California, we head south to Sonoma Raceway in Central California for the Cycle Gear Championship of Sonoma. Opened in 1968, this 2.5-mile track is loaded with 50 years of racing history. We move back east for the season's last 3 events.
starting in Pennsylvania, where MotoAmerica returns to the Pittsburgh International Race Complex for the third straight season. 2 weeks later, MotoAmerica travels just east to New Jersey Motorsports Park, featuring 2 world-class road courses, one of which aptly named Thunderbolt Raceway after the P-47 Thunderbolt airplane used during World War II. The season for all 5 classes concludes in mid-September in Birmingham for the MotoAmerica Championship of Alabama at the 2.38-mile Barber Motorsports Park. What a year we have ahead of us.
It's more important to be able to design tires and then manufacture them here in Buffalo, New York, to be able to hit the mark for the U.S. consumer. And that's the key factor for me. That's really what makes all the difference in the world for us here.
In the 20 years I've been here, the people I work with are great, and I just enjoy building these tires. It makes me feel good that guys are out there riding these tires and my stamp's on there.
Motorcycles are something that I've just always had an interest in. I build them, I ride them. I have Dunlop tires on my bike. We've got some of the best tire builders, the people I work with, probably in the world right in this plant, making these tires. We're all very proud of what we do. We're very proud of the quality that we put out. We're very conscientious of what we do and how we do it. For that specific reason, these are friends and family that are actually out there on these tires that we build.
In a few weeks, all 5 classes are back in action as Inside MotoAmerica heads east to the MotoAmerica Championship of Virginia from the historic VIR track. Check your local listing for airtimes on the NBC Sports Network.
When we return to Inside MotoAmerica Superbike race number 2 here at COTA.
In 2010, construction of Circuit of the Americas, known worldwide as COTA, began as a privately funded endeavor. Today, COTA has contributed almost $1 billion in economic impact to Central Texas through increased tourism and annual operations. The circuit also continues to be a leader in environmental awareness and sustainability and has helped make advances in educational and scientific fields, including solar car technology, as well as racing and consumer automotive technology. But the track itself is the centerpiece of COTA. This 20-turn counterclockwise circuit takes advantage of the naturally undulating landscape, including the intimidating Turn 1 featuring a 133-foot hill. COTA is home to the only Formula One and MotoGP races in the country, the United States Grand Prix and the Red Bull Grand Prix of the Americas. Nestled within the track is the Austin 360 Amphitheater. It is the largest permanent outdoor amphitheater in Central Texas. This unique treasure in the live music capital of the world has hosted some of the biggest names in music and entertainment. The entire venue's centerpiece is this 251-foot signature observation tower. With plans for more World Championship racing, new amenities, features, and more events, COTA is set for excitement for years to come.
Race 2 is underway, and Tony Elias again with a good launch to turn number 1.
So did Garrett Gerloff from row 2. Josh Herron's going to get his bike slowed down and filter in right behind his teammate, and both the Yamaha guys are 3rd and 4th.
So Tony doing what he did yesterday. Josh Herron in 2nd spot.
Looks like JD Beach is actually 3rd, Greg. Yeah, JD Beach is 3rd. So talking to Richard this morning, they made a couple little changes on his bike as well. So we'll see if those early changes make a difference for him. They noticed that looking at the data and some things like that, where he was having trouble with some chatter in the front end of that motorcycle in the really tight slow gear, first gear turns, second gear turns, and they did say that they are going to first gear for those really tight turns, Greg, at the end of the straightaways.
A couple tire choices that Dunlop brought. They brought a soft, which is what Tony's running front and rear, and an extra soft, both front and rear. And there was a thought that some riders might be changing the compound of that tire, including Tony Elias as he goes deep. Able to reel it in, no problem. Look at Josh Herron just trying to squeeze on the power and the rear tire spinning a little bit. But so right at the last minute, we were told by Dunlop that Tony went back to his selection from yesterday. Is it a draft and pass move for the number 2 on the long back straightaway? Tony doesn't. Nope. Oh, and he kind of looked over to see where Herron was.
That's the patience that Josh said he was going to show, and I think that's tremendous. If Josh could sit there on these guys and watch a little bit of what's going on, we know he likes to lead. I loved his pre-race interview just now with Hannah and the things he had to say, and already you can see this guy's got the pace, and he was right with them all throughout the race yesterday with only 1.9 at the finish, but that's showing some maturity from Herron, and I think that Tony was kind of expecting him to come up underneath him, and he didn't.
A pair of Yoshimura Factories Racing GSXR 1000s lead the way from the privateer. Attack Performance Estenson Racing Yamaha R1 of JD Beach. And then behind him, we have a pair of Monster Energy Yamalube Yamaha Factory Racing machines. Westby Racing Matthew Skoltz back there. And then it looks like M4X Star Suzuki's Jake the Snake Lewis.
Yep, he's up in 6th as Jake right now, and he's trying his best to try to hold on to the back of him.
Oof.
It just gets so, it's weird because when you get to the top of the hill, you kind of see everybody scattered. It makes it look like maybe somebody's in a little bit deeper than others. And but it's just, it really is just the way that track is at the top of the hill. It gives you a lot of different options.
Talking to this rider number 2 after the race yesterday with our onboard of Tony Elias. When I was talking to Josh Herron, we were talking about the differences the wind created yesterday, how much deeper they could break into the corner, number 12 off the back straightaway, and how they had to brake a lot earlier for turn number 1. So now they're able to use the brake markers that they're familiar with after practice, qualifying practices 1 and 2 on Friday. Elias leading early. Oh, Herron. Oh, he's in deep.
He's in deep. He's trying to run that thing out a little bit. And see, to me, it's an interesting place for Josh to do that. Only because you're getting ready to lead onto a big, long back straightaway. You know you can draft your teammate there. As you see, Cameron Beaubier now just goes past JD Beach.
I saw Josh Herron grab the brake adjuster, left part of your screen, or left part of the handlebar, sorry, the left bar, just above that. Josh Herron was able to dial in a little bit more brake.
JD Beach cuts it back up underneath Cameron at the end of the straightaway. So Cameron had gone past. JD makes his way back through. Garrett Gerlach just hanging in 5th, as Skoltz as well. You look at the Suzuki updates, perfect day out there, Greg, 72 degrees. Just JD makes a little mistake there. So all these little tight technical first gear, second gear turns are very hard to hit lap after lap. Perfect. He's going to run out a little bit there. Does Garrett go up underneath him? Looks like he's trying. Just couldn't quite make it, could Garrett. But those are the kind of mistakes that create those gaps. And that's what Garrett's going to want to be careful of, because you can see him back there in 5th now. There's a big gap to Cameron, and you can see he wants to get by JD. And Skoltz is right there on the back of this too.
Welcome back to COTA and Inside MotoAmerica. Our riders are always willing to spend extra time with their fans.
Events like this autograph session is not only a chance for fans to meet their heroes, it is a memory maker of a lifetime.
Let's join Greg and Jason for the finish of the race.
Both these guys have played really, really fair and really clean with each other so far. It's just allowing Cameron to stick around. You can see Tony's bike wobbling down through there right before they get to the brake zone. And then he just kind of lets off the brake lever, gets a turn, but he gets it fired out. And as long as he stays over to the right, it's going to be very hard for anybody to go around the outside of you going back into that next left.
And that was Racing 101, Jason. All you have to do is get your motorcycle next to the other rider in position.
Yep.
And Josh Herron had nowhere to tip it in because Tony was occupying that space.
Yeah, we'll look at the time now to see. Now Cameron's with him. I just feel like the last part of the kind of the S sections of the track, like 7, 8, and 9, Cameron just loses a little bit there. You can see the 2 Yosh bikes in front. He gets up in here really well. You can look at the Cameron Beaubier. You can look at Cameron Beaubier's race pace on the right. You see that 2:08.9 very early. All the riders except for the guy leading right now have been in the 8s. Well, of the 3 of them. Herron did a 2:08 as well. Tony did a 2:09 flat. Now, this whole section here, you can see they just pull away from him a little bit there. And then when we go from this right to the left, right in here, this is where they seem to gap him, from this right to the left and then the next right. And he just can't quite get on the back of him before they get to turn 11. That's what he really wants to have happen. He wants to be able to get right on the back of him as they come up over the top of this hill. He wants to be able to get right on the back of him. There's Matthew Schultz. He's just up the track a little bit from these three. See how he closes up, and now he's trying to, now Cameron wants to release the brake lever and get off this turn with him. And I'd say that's about as close as we've seen him so far.
Yeah, that was a good drive.
Yep.
By that Monster Energy Yamaha factory racing machine, Cameron Beaubier #1, but you can still see.
Oh, what was that? Something just, did you see that?
Yeah, I don't.
Something either flew off the.
It looks like Josh Herron has no fender.
Is it a fender, isn't it?
Yeah, Herron's fender gone on that one. I don't know if that was the lap, but definitely something was run over and exploded. So Herron's.
And that happened right in front of Cam.
Yeah.
And, you know, as a rider, when you run something like that over, in behind, if you run it over, your next thought is, I hope it hasn't cut my tire.
Exactly.
I hope it hasn't done anything.
Especially if it's carbon fiber.
And it can really throw you off as a trailing rider there. So it's pretty crazy. 2 races in a row now we've seen front fenders, with first race at Garrett Gerloff in Atlanta, and now here with Josh Herron. And that's just enough to throw Cameron off. You can see that. It's just enough to distract him. And now these guys have a little time. Now let's look and see what happens here.
He's in the trap. Yep, there it was.
It just like blew apart almost, didn't it? I mean,
so weird.
So hard to see, and that is enough to distract Cameron. Let's see what Cameron, you can see it here, you can see it loose. It's starting to vibrate loose. Let's see what happens with Cam. He stayed pretty much in it, but he definitely lost a little bit of time. And it almost looks like Garrett Gerloff is trying to close back up on these guys. He went 2:10.3 the last lap. All these riders in front of him were slower.
You see the championship standings. If it finished up right now, Elias would extend his championship lead. So Beaubier is to stay in this thing has got to close back up, but it doesn't look like he's got it. I don't know if it was just the fender or if it was just the time of the race, because Beaubier has been using a lot of tire to stay with these two.
Yeah, and off in the background there, it looked like, I don't know if we lost one of our front runners, JD Beach. It looked like somebody was pulling over behind Gerloff. We'll keep an eye on that as well. But these two now, it's going to start to get dicey. It's going to start to get racy. I don't think Herron will do anything with Tony down here in turn 11. I think he's going to stay behind, and he'll do the draft and redraft. Tony's in a false neutral.
That's it.
False neutral for Tony. And that's not it, though. He'll get it back.
It's not it, but I'm
yeah.
We saw him struggling to get his bike
in called it earlier, for sure.
And I thought it might be something. It's not unusual for this GSX-R 1000. He's had some issues with the false neutrals in the past. So he hands the lead. Looked like he had a good brake marker. It was just a matter of getting that bike down. Still fighting with it.
Yep, he's still fighting with it, and that's a big thing for Josh. That's going to give Josh a big thing of confidence. There's JD Beach.
You saw it.
I thought I did see him coming down from turn 1 to turn 2. I could see him kind of pulling off the track, Greg. I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a back marker. Right now, Josh Herron has done a really good job through all this stadium section, and he's got to get his head down, Greg. Right now, this is his race to lose right now, because these two guys behind him are going to have to do some work to get by him. Right now, if Josh can just run the lap of his life when he sees this white flag in a minute, because this guy right here is going to be trying to do the same, as is Cameron.
So Josh Herron in control, fenderless.
Yeah, fenderless, yeah, and he's...
as he comes through turn 20, he's going to get that white flag. So Herron's got exactly what he wants.
Yes,
you can see way up ahead Matthew Schultz up, and he looks over his shoulder.
That's what I don't want Josh to do.
Yeah.
Josh, you got a pit board right there. It's telling you hopefully where you're at with things. Those guys, even though they're going to be watching the same thing that we're watching, they got radios back and forth. Just look over, see that you got 0.4, 0.5. That's what you want. And I think if he can get out of turn 11 clean, that's going to be the one. He's got to get through these S's as smooth as he can. And he's been really good from this next left to the right here. He's been really solid. You can actually see him give it some throttle in between there. And his bike, to me, looks better there than it did yesterday. He has broken these guys, Greg, right? As of right now, he has broken these guys.
So Tony Elias just couldn't get his bike into gear, relegated that lead over to Josh Herron, and Herron is pulling the trigger.
Yep, and that's a mistake from Tony there, just getting on the gas. Not so much a mistake as it was just getting the bike loose. And I hope Herron's got Schultz up in front of him. What I would be doing if I was Josh Herron, I'd be focusing on Matthew Schultz and almost tricking myself into thinking that's who I have to catch. Look at Matthew getting over. That's really good of him. But Herron's done the job. And look at Garrett Gerloff coming as well.
Off in the distance, Gerloff left it a little bit too late. At that long run down the back straightaway, Matthew Skoltz off the track line, off the race line, won't even affect it. And Tony got the bike in gear really early, so it worked for him there.
And bigger picture, Tony knows there's a championship that he's going after, and the guy that's behind him is the guy he's racing right now for the championship point lead, even this early in the year. I don't like talking about that so early, but with as competitive as MotoAmerica will be this year between these guys, every point counts.
Yeah, the difference between first and third, a bigger difference, huge compared to second to third. So Tony Elias in second, Cameron Beaubier. Doesn't look like he's got anything in the tank to challenge, but this rider, what a mature race he's run. Not mixing it up and throwing it all over the place. He just sat behind Tony Elias until he felt like it was time to pounce. Tony fought back, and Herrin waited for his opportunity. As he comes onto the front straightaway, Josh Herrin will take the checker flag and victory here at race number 2 at the MotoAmerica Championship of Texas. You think he's pumped?
Yeah, well, that he just proved something to himself, and I think that for Josh, looking at how he went into this race, for me, that's the best race I've ever seen him run, honestly. He looked like he sat there, he planned, he did all the right things, and that's why he's so happy right now, Greg, is, you know, when you switch teams and you come to another effort, that's going to be such a boost for him to win this race today.
He's celebrating still with his fans over here. All right, Josh, I need your attention for just 1 second. I know it was a very emotional, very hard-fought win for you. Tell us about it.
I rode my ass off. Just these first 3 races, I've just been so nervous. Just new bike, new team. I put so much pressure on myself. I just kept trying to go out in the lead, and I needed to just tell myself quit being so stupid and sit back a little bit and relax. And Tony rode a great race. I was just able to latch on to him. We were doing, I think I saw a 9.0 on my timer. That's the same as I did in Super Pole, and Dunlop tires were freaking amazing today. It's so awesome going around the track afterwards and seeing everybody cheering, seeing a bunch of Herrin hats out there. This is an experience that I'll never forget. For sure, tops any championship or race win I've ever had. Thank you to everyone for coming out. Thanks to everyone for believing in me. Thanks to Pat Alexander and Kerry and Don and everybody at Suzuki for giving me this chance. Herrin's factory again, I'm back.
Thanks, Josh. Now, the other day when I talked to you, you said you'd be happy as long as you and Josh finished 1 and 2. Today you were number 2. Are you still happy with that, despite what happened out there?
I'm so happy for Josh. He deserved it, and when he joined to the team and had this opportunity, he deserved more than anyone. So today he won, perfect. During the race we worked together, and then he win. I just did the last 3 laps without electronics on my bike, but anyway, with this problem finish second front of Cameron, take 3 extra points in the championship. It's amazing. I'm so happy. Could be worse. So let's go home with a big smile. Thank you. Thanks to my team Yoshimura. They are working so hard.
Tony did a great job to be able to get that thing working for the last 3 races to finish in second spot. Cameron Beaubier in third, of course. Garrett Gerloff, 3.2 behind. Jake Lewis, Cam Peterson, Kyle Wyman. David Anthony collected some more points. Travis Wyman. So the older Kyle will walk away with bragging rights on this one.
I am here with Channing Tatum. You are an avid rider yourself, big Superbike race enthusiast, and apparently also a Josh Herrin fan. How happy are you for Josh today?
Like, sincerely, like, I don't know. You guys will probably see footage. I was like jumping out of my skin for the kid. He deserves it so much. I met him about like 2 years ago, and he's just like the sweetest, like craziest little kid that I've ever met in my life. And he's been working so hard for this, and I'm just so happy for him, like sincerely.
Thanks so much for being here.
All good.
We look at the standings. Tony is 13 ahead of Cam Beaubier, but Herrin pole vaults himself from 7th into 3rd spot, 41 back ahead of Matthew Skoltz, who, of course, finished back in 13th spot. Did get some points, so good for the team for getting that bike back out of the racetrack. Then you have Jake Lewis, JD Beach, unfortunately came back on the crash truck. David Anthony slides to 7th from 5th. Garrett Gerloff in 8th, and Cam Peterson, 9th spot in this championship.
I'm Hannah Lopa, and for the rest of our Inside MotoAmerica team, thanks for joining us. We will see you in a few weeks from Virginia.